Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you guys are new here. This is kind of a weird pairing. I've got on a Thanksgiving shirt and I've got a coffee cup with Christmas on it because yes, I've already decorated for Christmas. But that's not what this video is about. This video is going to be about something kind of important, something that might mean a lot to some of you all. It might mean nothing to others. So for those that have clicked on this video and decided to watch, thank you for watching. This is going to be like a food shortage type video, either things that have gotten a little bit more significant in price that have just skyrocketed, and maybe things that are harder to find. I don't panic buy. I did do the toilet paper thing initially, I will say that, because there's 6 of us, so we panicked because yeah, we need toilet paper. But I don't panic buy. I like to stock up. I like to have like a working pantry stockpile where you keep things on hand that you will actually use. I don't like to buy things that we will never use just to have. So I try to be mindful with the things that I buy to stock up on. But anyway, I know a lot of people like to prepare for things. I do have prepper friends. I do have, really serious ones, and more power to you if you were that person. I just like to be prepared, and I kind of like to be mindful of things going on because stuff changes all the time. So that's what today's video is. This video is kind of like, it's kind of weird. I was kind of eye-opened to some of the things that are running shortages right now. Okay, so one of the first things that is on this list, that is on every list that you will look up on the internet, is beer. And no, I don't drink beer, but this is Ryan brews beer as a hobby. He loves the science behind it, the fun, the fascination with it. So that's what this is. And it's super old. But what I found out is there's like a shortage on liquor, a shortage on beer, a shortage on a lot of that kind of stuff, which is really random. And I'm trying to use the scientific words here. Because of a contamination at a reservoir in Mississippi, it caused a carbon dioxide shortage. And it is impacting brewers across the United States, particularly craft breweries. Some are paying 3 to 4 times as much for carbonation, and others are working on plans to switch to nitrogen. And it's creating like a shortage. And I've noticed that on other reports that there is a liquor shortage, things like that. There's a whole bunch of reasoning behind it that I won't go into. But that is one of the things that they are running short of. So I thought that was really random to be at the top of the list, but it was on tons of people's lists. So that was one of the top things. Me, I don't want a shortage on coffee, but personally I could care less about whether there's a shortage in beer. But that is number 1 on the list. Number 2 is something that is kind of weird, but I always try to keep ahead on, is ketchup. So I just lied to myself. I just said we keep all the ketchup on hand, and I don't even have a bottle to show you because apparently somebody used the rest of it up and we did not replenish it. So it will be on my list. I haven't had any trouble finding it, but they said because there was a drought in California and it really interrupted the tomato crop this year. Things like ketchup, salsa, tomato sauce, all those types of household staples, there's been a shortage of that. Also, it's been 3 to 4 times as high. So if you can find that, if that's one of those things that you keep in your house, we always keep tomato sauce in our house. We always keep diced tomatoes in our house, things like that. Rotel, all that kind of stuff, because I cook with it all the time. So I try to keep it on hand, especially for chili. But usually I do keep ketchup on hand because that is one of our most important staples in our house. But of course, when I'm filming this, I'm going to have to correct myself and tell you I don't have any on hand, so I will be buying it. So that is number 2. So the third one should come as no surprise to many of you. It is baby formula. And the reason for that is because the nutrition company was forced to temporarily shutter a plant manufacturing baby formula after several infants developed serious bacterial infections. It resulted in major baby formula shortages across the U.S. They reopened in June, but then 2 weeks later, they had a massive flood and had to shut down again. So I guess that is just as scary as that is for so many of you, and I absolutely hate that. I know that some people have, when that starts happening, they've been able to find it on Amazon even. Like some people said they went as far as trying to put their address in for Canada to try to get it. I don't know the truth behind that, but I do know there's people that were really struggling to find it, and like our community came together to kind of try to help others find that, because that's serious, especially if you can't produce breast milk. And I know people were donating breast milk, things like that. But that is number 3 on the list. That is something that is so terrifying to me, because that is the one thing that, you know, for so long we've never had to worry about. But number 4 on the list is something that I do keep on hand usually. We don't use it a ton, but it is my go-to hot sauce seasoning. It is sriracha. So this is something that I love to have on hand. I didn't know, like, this is the brand that actually produces it, the Huy Fong. And they usually get their chili peppers, I guess, from Mexico, but because there has been a drought on the chili peppers, that has caused their production to stop until later in the fall. So that is something that some of the stores are running a shortage on. We have had this for a while, and I think I have another bottle backed up. But this is one of those things that is just random, that was unexpected, and they've had a shortage on sriracha sauce. So if you can find it locally, I'd go ahead and pick it up. So this will apply to the women. This won't really apply to the men. And this is something that is insane. I've noticed that in our area, tampons. Tampons, they have had a shortage in them. They are trying to increase their supply, but I guess they said in April that sourcing and transportation for materials needed to make tampons have been costly and highly volatile, making it hard to find tampons on store shelves. They're trying to work to increase the supply, but that has been something that they have been struggling with. And I know it like 3 stores locally, they don't have any, hardly ever. They have had nothing but trouble getting them in. They told me that, and this has been going on for months. So I know there's other options, things like that, but that is something you may want to like stock up on. Those are things that people like the prep and stuff, they do stock up on supplies like that to keep on hand, because you just never know. Those aren't things you think about. So I didn't think about those sort of things until I watched The Walking Dead. We used to watch it all the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, you don't think about those things that you need, like the baby diapers, the sanitary needs, like all that kind of stuff. You just don't think about that stuff until the time comes. So that is something we should always keep stock of, just because you just never know. I mean, it's the craziest thing. I mean, whoever thought we'd have a shortage of toilet paper? Another thing, this is really weird too, because this is something that I have loads of, but this might be in different areas. Popcorn. We have tons. We were able to find it at Sam's. I've never had trouble finding it, but it says there's a popcorn shortage looming due to supply chain issues. And farmers are expected to plant less corn this year because of drought and instead plant more soybeans. So that's really crazy. I haven't had that happen, but that is what has made the list. Several lists are basically the same items, like on everything you read. This is all on the internet. This is all on different reports, and that's kind of crazy. Another thing is bread. Bread is something which you can make at home. Bread is something that is really cool. I have a bread maker. I don't make use of it like I should, but I do want to, I keep saying this to you guys. I keep saying I want to make some oatmeal bread. That Christine off the Frugal Fit Mom, she makes an awesome one. But bread is one of those things that they are having a shortage in, because so the reason for the shortage in bread is because Russia and Ukraine are the world's largest wheat exporters. They're responsible for 30% of the global wheat supply. And with everything going on with Ukraine, it threatens the supply and could affect staples like flour, pasta, pretzels, and bread. And they've already increased in price, which I did notice that significantly. I used to buy the cheapest of cheap bread at Aldi, and it has already climbed about 50 cents, which is nuts because Aldi is always the cheapest. So that is something, you know, like I said, you saw the hordes of flour that I stocked up on. That is something you can make at home by yourself. Like if you get some bread pans or make use of what you have, and you can make it. I just, honestly, that's something I want to get better at, is making things that that you don't have to rely on in the stores, stuff like that. So I don't know that it'll taste the best, but I'd like to get better at that. And another thing is pet food, which we have 2 dogs, but they said pet food, it might be having a hard time finding food for your animals because of supply chain issues. They've led to a shortage of canned wet food and cat food across the country, and they're not expected to go away anytime soon. Our dogs, due to price, they eat the hard food, because when Sadie was a puppy, that's what the breeder put put her on. So we've always used that. Plus it's more cost efficient because, I mean, spoil your puppies if you can. But my gosh, my dog eats a ton. So that would cost a lot. We did do that with one of our dogs in the past. And I was like, the dog is eating better than us, like some of the time back then. Another thing should come as no surprise. Number 9 on this list is turkey. I will never make a turkey ever again by myself. I tried it last year. We were able to find a turkey. I didn't know that's the one thing I can't cook. My mom always cooked our turkey and our ham and all the kind of big things of meat. I was terrified of that stuff. So I decided last year I was going to do it, but oh my gosh, it was still cold inside. So, and I cooked that thing forever and thawed it, but you can't win all the time. It was a gross experience. I swore I'd never do it again. But they're saying that they have supply chain issues coupled with bird flu epidemic that resulted in more than 5 million turkeys being killed. And like for some families, it said it could be a birdless Thanksgiving. They predict a shortage over the holidays, or at least higher prices for the turkeys. So if you guys can find a turkey now, this is October, go get one. Because if they're expecting that, I would do it. Another shortage on the list, we're just gonna go through another one, is mustard. Because of the supply chain issues and everything going on in Ukraine, they've had that happen. And so they said it could eventually reach the US because it's caused Europe to receive a shortage in mustard. So they're saying that they predict that to happen in the United States. So if you can stock up on mustard, I mean, we don't use it a ton, but it's awesome to always have, and it's so cheap still. It hasn't risen in price. I mean, at least this didn't. This was $1, and I just bought it the other day. Another thing is peaches, which we can't find peaches a whole lot around here. I guess a freeze hit the southeastern U.S. in late March and delayed the peach season. So unseasonably warm weather followed by 2 brutal cold snaps and it declimated peach crops in the Northwest. Now, your options, you always have canned peaches, you know, that kind of stuff. But that is one of the things they're running a shortage on. They're saying Halloween candy because back in July, they weren't able to meet the consumer demand. And their cocoa and milk were affected by supply chain issues. So they did do a double-digit increase in demand. So prices significantly went up, needless to say. And there has been a shortage. And they've had to reduce the sizes of the bags, I guess is what they're saying in this report. So it bumped its prices up. Let's see, Nestle bumped its prices up by 9.8% and Mars bumped theirs up by 7%. That is crazy. That is just climbing, climbing, climbing. Number 13 on the list is champagne. I guess it's all due to supply chain issues. Also, I've never even bought a bottle of champagne in my life. So it's not going to affect me, but it might affect somebody on that list. So it says it may be aged for years before it's bottled. So they're having just a huge issue with it right now. So that's one thing. The last thing on this list is something that we do use all the time. I try to do substitutions sometimes, and I do use the fake stuff, but it's butter. Butter is on the list. So another thing on the list, this isn't necessarily a shortage. This is a huge price increase. They're saying it went from $3.67 a pound in January to $4.70 a pound. So they're saying the rising cost of feed and labor shortages on dairy farms are the culprits of this. So the holidays are right around the corner. They're saying butter is expected to rise in price. So you guys, if you didn't know this, you can freeze butter. It freezes just fine. Don't freeze salad. I've learned my lesson. You can freeze butter. So if you can get, I just buy the cheap stuff anyway. I know some people like the natural grass-fed stuff, and people that follow keto and stuff will get the Irish butter. But you guys, if you can get butter and you're worried about the price rising on this is something you can freeze. So if you can just, you know, I do that with a lot of things. I will buy things that I can find at super discounted prices and I will freeze them for later. Yes, I need to invest in a generator, definitely do. But that's something that will stay fresh. So if you can freeze something, freeze it. By all means, freeze it, keep it fresh, you know, extend the life of that product and use it for later because it will save you money in the long run. That's how you get ahead. If you can save now, then you can get ahead, you know, later because you don't have to buy that and you've bought it at a less price. So, I just wanted to share the shortages with you. Those were the things that I've read. I keep seeing it. I followed it for a while. A lot of stuff hasn't affected us. Obviously, there's a shortage of ketchup in our house, but that's due to me. But there's a lot of different things that might affect some of you all. And I just wanted to share that information because some people don't take the time to read all that kind of stuff or invest in it. I've been watching it for a while and wanting to read it and seeing if the trends stayed the same, and they have. So these are the things anticipated to continue on in November. Some of it, obviously, will still have increases, and I'll share that kind of stuff with you as I come across it. But that is all for this video. I just wanted to share that little bit of information with you guys. I appreciate you all watching, and just say hey in the comments if you like this sort of thing. I like to bring a wealth of information to you guys. Sorry I have to read some of that because I've got mom brain. But no, I'm not an extreme prepper, so don't come at me if I've messed something up along this informational video, because like I said, I'm not that. I just like to share information when I find it and come across it, and I like to be prepared for my family with stuff that we use. But I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. I appreciate you all so much. Bye.